Hi, guys. Good evening, and welcome back once again to The Edward. I'm your host, Eddie, and in today's video, I'll be discussing what I thought of the latest and so very good episode of Star Trek Lower Decks, which dropped its newest episode today on Paramount Plus. I just got done watching it. Thoroughly enjoyed it for a big reason. I'll get to that in a minute. But before I go into all of that, of course, please be warned, this is a spoiler-filled review. So if you're not caught up on Star Trek by Lower Decks by this episode, you don't want to keep watching or listening, as I will be discussing spoilers, plot details, all that jazz. That being said, you have been warned. Let's dive right back into it. It was so great, so wonderful to see Deep Space Nine again after all these years. Even in animated form, it looked and sounded just like the show did all those years ago. You know, I actually never watched Deep Space Nine while it originally premiered on TV all those years ago. I only binged it recently, within the past 5 or 6 years. I have binged it, the entire series from beginning to end. Like I did that back in 2000, late 2015, and then most of 2016. And I absolutely loved it. I fell in love with the show. It became one of my favorite Star Trek shows. And I was so excited and happy to see that they would be spending a majority of this episode on DS9. So obviously I knew who Kira was. I obviously know who Quark was. I love just seeing Deep Space Nine. I'm aware of the wormhole. I loved how they were talking about after the Dominion War. So this episode confirms what I already suspected, that this show takes place after the Dominion War, and the Alpha and Gamma quadrants are at peace for the time being. So that was great. And I love that they got the same actors who played Kira and Quark to reprise their roles for their respective animated counterparts. It was so wonderful seeing and hearing them again. And they looked great in animated form too. Of course, Kira knew Shax, and of course, Quark and Kira knew Mariner. Mariner seemingly knows everybody. You know, season 1, she knew Riker, and now season 2, she's familiar with Quark and Kira. Of course, they all know her because everyone knows Mariner, so that's hilarious. And I just, this episode had some funny parts, but it was also just really satisfying and enjoyable because how nostalgic and reminiscent it was that it did take place on Deep Space Nine, and we got to see some familiar fan favorite characters once again. So that was great. I also liked how Jen knows exactly what kind of person Mariner is and totally accepts and loves her for that, and that she also was down with Mariner phasing all her friends and scaring the hell out of them, which was also hilarious. So that part was actually pretty funny, and also very sweet of how much Jen really does love and care for Mariner. They've got a cute relationship, and I love how Mariner's now more confident in herself, knowing that her girlfriend embraces her for who she truly is. So that was pretty cute. I also liked how this episode, how, Tendi was obviously bothered by the fact that this guy, up until he revealed that he was actually adopted by humans, and he was an Orion, but he was raised on Earth, but he kept acting like he was an old-time pirate Orion, and it was bothering Tendi. But of course, that was mostly because she, I think, is somewhat ashamed of her past or of what her family has done, and she's trying to make a new name or image for herself. But clearly those skills are still quite useful in stressful circumstances and situations. But I do like how Tendi seems to be more at peace with herself and accept herself for who she is, and how Rutherford seems to accept her as well, because of course they're good friends. They'll always accept and be there for one another. So this episode had some pretty good, wholesome moments throughout, in addition to being funny and very nostalgic. They never did explain how or why Boimler was so good at Dabo. I mean, it was pretty funny that he kept winning, and I don't think he was cheating. I think he was just apparently that good at Dabo, which was funny because in Quarks you think they'd be super rigged, but I guess he kept on winning. So, but this was a good episode. This was a great episode, in fact, simply because it took place on the fan favorite Deep Space Nine, and we got to see some old favorite characters once again. And it warmed the heart. You know, it felt good seeing that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I did. What did you think of it? I'd love to hear your thoughts and feelings on it. Thank you so much for watching. Have an awesome rest of your day. Star Trek Lower Decks drops new episodes every Thursday on Paramount Plus. Check it out. It's a fun show if you're a Trek fan. Have a great rest of your night, everyone. Thanks for watching. And of course, until next time, may the Force be with you.